And so one day I just asked her, hey, what do you do to actually get lean? And the conversation we had was really the catalyst for changing my entire perspective on eating for fitness. So today I want to give you the top 3 reasons why your body may not be changing, even though you're doing all of the things.
Do you struggle to stay consistent with healthy eating and just want food decisions to be easy, guilt-free, and sustainable? You're in the right place. Hi, I'm Chelsea, nutritionist and fitness coach who overcame restrictive yo-yo dieting and body image insecurities using simple nutrition tools, all backed by biblical principles. And now I help women like you find that same freedom with food so you can feel confident in the look and health of your body for decades to come. I'm ready to dive in with you. So grab that cute notebook you've been hanging on to and let's go.
Love that you have listened to God and created this podcast. This, along with your book, makes taking care of our bodies in a confusing modern world both practical and easy to do. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, sis, for taking the time to listen, to write this review, and to get a copy of my book. I pray the Lord speaks to you through it all. And so now let's get to it. Welcome to the show. I had an interesting experience at the gym the other day. A delightful young lady came up to me out of nowhere and asked, "What do you do for arms? I just want arms like yours." Which obviously I was super flattered by, but also really humbled because that moment reminded me that I was once that girl. I remember at the very first gym I was ever a member of, there was this gal. Gosh, this was probably like 9 years ago now. She was shredded. I mean, like the pinnacle of toned. She did MMA on the side for funsies. This chick was all around hardcore, but also a total sweetheart. When you talk to her, you would never guess that she loved punching people in the face for fun. But that's beside the point. I remember seeing her in both admiration and frustration because we were about the same size, about the same age. We had similar statures. And here I was working out 5-6 days a week. I had a personal trainer. I ate super clean. This was in the height of my paleo era. So I hadn't seen a bite of bread in over a year. And honestly, probably hadn't even eaten in a restaurant in close to that long either. Yet I was still fluffy, I wanted to have visible muscles. Sure, I felt myself getting stronger, which was awesome, but I wanted to look like I worked out. And so one day I just asked her, hey, other than MMA, because I know myself and that's just not in the cards for me, what do you do to actually get lean? And the conversation we had was really the catalyst for changing my entire perspective on eating for fitness. So today, I want to give you the top 3 reasons why your body may not be changing, even though you're doing all of the things. This is clearly something I have experienced firsthand, and so many of the clients I work with on nutrition come to me feeling this way. So I think it's a topic that is really relatable. So let's dive in. Starting with number 1, your body may not be changing because your protein to carbohydrate to fat ratio may be unbalanced. Now, this is where the diet method of tracking macros really does shine. However, as someone who has gotten lean both with and without macro tracking and coached several others to do the same, I'm still a firm believer that you do not need to track macros in order to see results. However, it is important to understand what protein, carbs, and fats are and how they work in your body. The Cliff Notes version is essentially they are all forms of energy and building blocks. And if they're all trying to take the spotlight and not complementing one another, we will always have an excess of energy being stored, which shows up as body fat. This is one of my favorite things to work with my nutrition coaching clients on, to dial in for their specific bodies on an individual basis, because we all have our own sweet spot where protein, carbs, and fats are perfectly balanced. I call them levers. So we start with a basic format to get consistent with diamond meals, but as that becomes second nature, we adjust. Maybe this lever needs to go down a little while this lever needs to go up and this one stays the same. Maybe the fat lever needs to come way down and the carb lever needs to go way up. We try different combinations based on how they're telling me they're feeling with energy, their clothes fitting, results in the gym, and other body signals. And we just keep adjusting until we find the one that clicks. And when it clicks, man, you'll feel like a superhero. Lots of energy, brain clarity, new personal bests in your athletic endeavors. Like I said, it is one of my favorite things to witness as a coach. So I'll just take a second right here to say, if you would like some help balancing your macronutrient ratios without tracking macros so you can feel like a superhero too, head to coachrain.com/nutrition coaching, where you can set up a free call with me and learn more about my nutrition coaching program. All right, the second reason why your body may not be changing, even though you are doing all of the right things, is because you are eating under stress. And honestly, I almost hate to even bring up stress. It is certainly talked about a lot these days. Like, we get it. We live in a go world that celebrates achievements and ladder climbing and we'll sleep when I'm dead and we're all super stressed. Yes, we know. But in the context of nutrition and how you eat, I think it's important to understand what eating while stressed actually does. So we have two states of being with our energy. We've got our chill mode and we've got our stressed mode. Some refer to it as our rested state versus fight and flight. And then the fancy words for it are sympathetic versus parasympathetic. We want to eat in a parasympathetic state. That's where the phrase rest to digest really comes from. It's no accident that throughout scripture and even among many other religions, the practice of praying before a meal is so prevalent. It serves two purposes. The first, we want to thank God for the blessing of the food that is never guaranteed, while also asking for blessing over it as it literally becomes the cells that make up the muscles and tissues and bones and hair of our bodies. And then the second reason being, this gives us an opportunity to calm down, slow our heart rate and our mind, take a few deep breaths, and allow the digestive system to kick into gear. We can't do this while we're under stress. Think of it this way. In the primal human days where we had to hunt and gather for all of our food, say you came across a lion, and for whatever reason, your arrow missed. And now you've upset the lion and he knows exactly where you are and starts to hunt you. Your adrenaline kicks in, your heart starts beating fast, every sense in your body is searching for an escape in order to survive. That's the fight or flight / sympathetic response, and it's a good thing. God intelligently designed us to have that so that we can survive. In that moment, your body isn't going to think, I really could go for a burger right about now, because it is 100% focused on survival. Nowadays, that lion may show up as a tough meeting with your boss, an email that rocked your world, an important presentation, a phone call you did not want to get. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the body doesn't really know the difference. Stress is stress. And if we eat in a stressed state, there is a cascade of effects throughout the substantial digestive process that will always keep you from reaching your full fitness potential. And if you're still not sure this applies to you, here are some common symptoms of eating under stress. It often shows up as burping and belching, bloating, gassiness, especially if it smells rancid, stomach cramping, irregular bowel movements, skin issues. I actually have a specific section in my nutrition coaching program totally dedicated to eliminating stressed eating because it is that important. It makes that much of a difference. I had a client who suffered from IBS for years. She kind of just accepted that that was just part of her life. Her sister had it, her mom had it, a lot of her friends had it. But once she reached this part of my program, she told me it completely went away. It was like a magic pill. And now she refuses to ever go back to stress eating because it worked so well. Now, I know it's not a magic pill, but rather just doing things the way God designed, which is why I needed to share it with you too. And the third reason you may not be seeing changes in your body despite doing all of the things is that it simply may not have been enough time with relentless consistency yet. And I know that's really hard to hear because it feels like you've been at it forever. But the relentless consistency is the key here. There was a diet program that I was on way back in the day where they basically said, follow this plan for your 5 work days, then relax on the weekends, eat whatever you want. The thought process being, we need a mental break or we'll end up binging, which I totally agree with. That's why we have a Sabbath. God designed it so that we have regular intervals of work and rest. Just read Genesis chapter 1 and the creation story to see how he literally demonstrated that himself for us to model. And I don't know about you, but I have definitely tried to work right through and not take the rest, which always leads to a breakdown. I do it time and time again. Sometimes you gotta learn the hard way though, right? So I think it's absolutely applicable for our dietary habits as well. But taking a day of rest does not mean a day of debauchery. You can plan a lovely dinner at a steakhouse, get a solid cut of meat, potatoes, asparagus, get the dessert. That one meal is not going to undo the 6 days of consistency leading up to it. But if you go the take the weekends off approach, let's just do the math with that. That's 2 days of the week, every week, which is 104 days per year that I'm moving backwards from my goals. And let's be honest, it usually takes a couple of days to get back into the groove and undo the damage of the weekend. So really, we're only working towards our goals, let's say Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's less than half of the week. And now we're on this wild, kooky, one step forward, one step back cycle that is the definition of frustration. All of that's to say, if you have been relentlessly consistent for a minimum of 8 weeks, more likely closer to 12, and still haven't seen an ounce of change in your body, then maybe it's time to consider changing up the routine. But anything short of that, it's just too soon to tell. And you want to know the best thing you can do to harness that relentless consistency? Hire accountability, a coach. I never played sports growing up. I wasn't even an athlete until my 20s, actually. But I did have many music teachers. And you know what? If it wasn't for those teachers who I saw every week, who I paid to give me specific tasks to do and practice over the course of week to improve my skills, I never would have done those things. I never would have learned the instruments. It does not matter how great our intentions are at the start or how badly we want to achieve our goals. Life has a way of giving us a million excuses and better things to do. That coach is invaluable. And if you're ready for that kind of coach in your fitness and health journey, I have a spot in my nutrition coaching program with your name on it, where I'll tell you exactly what to do week by week so that you can get all your questions and the mystery about what works for you totally answered. So you have confidence knowing exactly what to eat and why, and you never have to diet ever again. I literally call my program the Sustainable Way for that reason. Head to coachrain.com/nutrition coaching to book a free call with me, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. So, to recap, the 3 top reasons why your body may not be changing despite all of the effort you're putting in is number 1, your protein to carb to fat ratio may be imbalanced. Number 2, you may be eating under stress or in stressful situations and not in a parasympathetic state. And number 3, it may not just be enough time yet with relentless consistency. Tackle those 3 things, and I am confident you will start to see results.
I pray this episode was helpful to you, my friend. If so, could you do me a massive favor and take 30 seconds to write a review? This is the best way to bless me big and help more people learn just how simple eating healthy consistently can be. And if you want more value-packed info from me, head to coachrain.com and sign up for the Weekly Harvest, my weekly emails filled with recipes, how to use food as medicine, biblical nutrition, and more. That's coachreign.com for the Weekly Harvest. Blessings until next time, sis. Toodles.